Hello Algebra! So today we are looking at the learning target 5.3.1, and this is the learning target that says I can identify characteristics of a quadratic given its equation. Now previously we've identified characteristics. The difference between this learning target and what we've done in the past is that we are looking at the equation of that quadratic, not just the graph. So only looking at numbers, what can we tell about it? So let's start off talking about what, in fact, a quadratic equation looks like. This here is standard form of a quadratic. Okay, now standard form, we talked about that in a previous unit. We know that that is when we list an expression from biggest to smallest and looking at the exponents. So here we see that our exponents do, in fact, go from biggest to smallest. That's awesome. Where you might be confused are these A, B, and C. These will actually all be numbers. So those will all be filled in with numbers. Those X's will stay put. So for example, you might have something that looks like this. Okay. In this case, 2 would be your A value, B would be 9, and negative 10 would be your C value. Let's do that one more time just so you understand what each of those numbers would be. So here, if I wanted to identify A, B, and C, A, because there is nothing in this place, nothing in front, A we know is the invisible number, so A would equal 1. B, we know that should be that second value. Don't forget to include the sign in front. B would be negative 6. And then C would be this positive 12 at the end. Okay, so now that I have that piece of information, what can I do with it? All right, let's do a practice here. Let's say I have y equals 6x squared plus 12x minus 7. And I want to know what the directionality is and whether or not this has a maximum or minimum. To decide our directionality, all you have to do is look at the sign of A. So if we go back to picking out our A, B, and C, we know A is 6, B is 12, and C is negative 7. And to decide what directionality it is, I'm going to look at this number. If this number is positive, we have positive directionality. If A is negative, we have negative directionality. So since 6 is a positive number, since 6 is a positive number, we have positive directionality. Yay! All right, now what about the maximums or minimums? Let's just imagine those graphs. So if we have positive directionality, I know that my arrows need to be pointing up. No matter how I draw this parabola, if it's wide, if it's tiny, if my arrows are pointing up, that vertex, you guys can see, no matter how I've drawn this parabola, this vertex is a low point. That means that if you have positive directionality, you will always have a minimum. I'm going to say that one more time. If you have positive directionality, you will always have a minimum. Okay. That means, on the other hand, let's say I were to draw some negative parabolas. I have all different shapes here. No matter what, on my negative parabolas, the vertex on each of these, that would be a high point on our graph. That means that if you have a negative A value, you have negative directionality, you are going to have a maximum. So let's look at an example of that. Let's say I have y equals negative 4x squared plus 5x plus 13. Okay, we pick out our A, B, and C. Our A in this case is negative 4. Let me actually write that above. A equals negative 4, B equals 5, and C equals 13. Since our A value is negative, that means we have negative directionality. And because we know how a graph of a negative parabola looks, we know our vertex must be a maximum. Awesome. So those are our first two characteristics just by looking at an equation. The last set of characteristics we want to identify is the vertex and the line of symmetry, or the axis of symmetry. Okay, so for this, there is a very specific formula. Our formula is negative b over 2a. So this is one of those that if you want to get credit for this learning target, you do have to memorize that formula. And what this does, that will give us the value of our line of symmetry, the x value of our line of symmetry, also the x value of our vertex. So let's say that I have this quadratic, y equals negative 3x squared minus 24x minus 21. First thing I want to do is identify my A, B, and C. So A is negative 3, B is negative 24, and C is negative 21. Now that I have all of this, I'm going to plug it into this formula that I have over here. So anytime, wherever I see a B, I'm going to put in the B value. Wherever I see an A, I'm going to put in the A value. The C value is not used here. So now I have negative B. You'll notice that because there was a negative in my formula, I included that here, and then your B value is also negative, over 2, and then our A value is negative 3. All right, now I simplify. So in the top, hopefully you guys are cringing a little bit. We have this double negative. That means that is going to change to positive. And then 2 times negative 3, that would give me negative 6. Now you and I both know this line means division. So now I'm going to do 24 divided by negative 6 to give me negative 4. So this gives me our axis of symmetry value, but we know that we have to write this as an equation. So our line of symmetry would be x equals negative 4. Boom. Now, what if I want to get my vertex from this? Well, once I have this piece of information, then I know in my vertex I need to write it in the form x comma y. You need an ordered pair. So I already have this x value. What I need is this y value. And the way we can do that is by taking this x value and plugging it into our original equation, because we have this y equals. So if I can simplify this with my x value, I will know what my y is. So I'm going to rewrite this down here. Negative 3x squared minus 24x minus 21. And now I'm going to write this equation and fill in that x value. And now we're just to the simplifying process. So ignore this. That's going to just tell us what y equals at the end. We need to simplify this right side. And so this negative 4 squared, remember that means negative 4 times negative 4. So that would be, I'm going to leave this negative 3 for now. That would be 16. Negative 24 times 4. That's going to give us a positive 96. And then I'm going to leave that minus 21 for now. I'm just simplifying. So negative 3 times 16, that's going to give us negative 48 plus 96 minus 21. All in all, when we simplify this, we are going to get the y value of 27. So that means that my vertex, now that is my y value in my ordered pair. My vertex, I'm going to keep the negative 4 that I found way back when, and now our y value will be 27. And voila, we have our vertex and our line of symmetry. And that is learning target 5.3.1. Good job, guys.